all the things that I've been through, every situation, every circumstance, every up, every down, every bad, every good, all things have worked out for my good. Hey there, Roscoe here, and if you're new here, this channel exists specifically to help you to serve, lead, and execute with purpose in your Christian walk. And if this video touches you today, if you get anything from it, I would ask you to hit the like button on this video and also share it with someone that may be able to receive something from this video also. And don't forget to make any comments on this episode today to be able to help me to see how I can better serve you. So in today's video, we're going to get into something that will resonate with those of you that have entrepreneurship as part of your purpose, that resonates with your passion work, if you will. Because this is something that is very important to me. It's something that I have been hearing from God from my days of, well, I shouldn't say my days, a long time ago, right? And so I want to share some things with you that will help you if you are even thinking about pursuing entrepreneurship. If that's something that is burning in your belly and you just don't know how to really make it happen, or if you have some situation or circumstance that is, gnawing at you, that you need to do something more or something different for the glory of God that you aren't doing right now. And it revolves around anything related to entrepreneurship. And even if you're not into entrepreneurship, and let's say you're not looking or you haven't started a business, this is going to help you even in the place that you stand today. If you have a job, if you're employed, you work for some company or some individual, what have you, this is going to help you too. Because I think it's a fallacy for many to believe that even though they may not have a quote unquote business that they operate, they still don't understand that even in a job, you're entrepreneurially operating. It's just in a more controlled environment. That's really the only difference, quite literally. It's still an economy within a workplace. There's still, the high performers and the low performers. There's still a desire for your services. Those things still exist in a job. It's just much more controlled by someone else. That's the only real difference. But we'll get into some of that. So today we're going to get into this topic of simplify to multiply. We're going to talk about simplify to multiply. The power of clarity in doing business. The power of clarity. There has been a up and down roller coaster of a trip that I've been on since I've been in entrepreneurship, since I started entrepreneurship in my early 20s. I've been on a roller coaster ride. I've been on some highs and I've been on some lows. And some of my highs have been pretty fun, to be honest with you. Some of my lows have been very frustrating. It's part of the life of entrepreneurship. I jumped into that life early on in my adult life, and It has taught me a lot of things over the years, not just in business, but also it taught me some things about myself. Quite a few things, actually. And I believe God's purpose and his plan for me has taken me through this journey of entrepreneurship. And in different ways, it has enhanced my life. And in different ways, it has taught me many lessons. And the way that God has ministered to me through these things, he allowed some things to happen in my business and in my life that I was blindsided by. But in the end, all the things that I've been through, every situation, every circumstance, every up, every down, every bad, every good, all things have worked out for my good. For some of you that are going through some things right at this very moment, you need to hear that. Everything that I've been through, business-wise, professionally, personally, relationship-wise, so on, everything has been for my good, has worked out for my good, has taught me lessons that are extremely valuable. You don't learn much when everything's great. You really don't. You don't learn much when everything's great. When everything's great, you tend to put down your guard. You get a little, you get a little slowful about things. You're not as sharp. You're not as quick. You don't think through things as intently because everything is good. You're able to kind of relax. And when you do, you tend to slip. And when you slip, you tend to slip incrementally, and it's not even noticeable by and large. And one day you wake up and you are way off target. You're way off track. You are nowhere near where you're supposed to be or where you thought you were. That's what happens when things are great. It takes a lot of effort to continue to move down a pathway of excellence when everything's great. It's hard because your mentality starts to shift. You take your foot off the gas a little bit. You get a little foot loose and fancy free, if you will, because everything's great. When tough times come, when things happen in your business, in your life, in your professional life, they are designed and they're there to prune you, to help you move forward, to help you get to the next level, to help you to refocus in some situations. It's there to help you do the things that you should have been doing while you were enjoying some of your great and fantastic and, amazing times that you were having, because everything was good. You don't think thoroughly through things when everything's good. So what we're going to talk about today is this idea behind the power of clarity in your business activity, your professional life. Because when things are not good or great or fantastic, you tend to focus more. Clarity seems to be a goal in those situations. You really want to know or really want to understand where you are and where you got to get to. And you put blinders on when things aren't good. At least that's what you're supposed to do. People that don't do that, they tend to fall apart and things spiral out of control and they get worse. But if you understand, hey, I've got to focus. I've got to get something done. I've got to get out of this place where I am and get to good, great, or excellent. When you understand that, clarity is almost automatic if you have that kind of mindset. And so we're going to talk today about how this clarity that you have is critical all the time, not just when things are great or when things are bad, but all the time. One of the ways to make clarity a staple in your everyday is to simplify things. It has taken me a long time to really understand this. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this talk is because it is so critically important that you understand this concept. Now, we're going to get into a verse of scripture here in a minute to kind of help us with understanding where we're going with this. But this is one of the things I think that creates the most problems for most of us, particularly those that are looking to be in business, or you are in business, or you are a highly skilled professional. This is what trips us up. This is what gets us off base and off balance. It does. This is what wastes a tremendous amount of time. Not a little bit of time, but a tremendous amount of time is wasted because of a lack of clarity. Tremendous amount of time is wasted. I can't tell you. It almost makes my heart hurt when I think about how much time I've wasted for a lack of clarity. So if you are in business, you are a business owner or entrepreneur or solopreneur or freelancer or what have you, and you're in that space, it is critical that you have clarity. Critical. I have wasted literally years of my life because of a lack of clarity. Years. One day I'm going to try to muscle through a thought process to really figure out how much time I've wasted because of a lack of clarity. I'm going to do that, and if I can muster up enough, I was going to say courage, but I don't think it's courage that I need. I've got the courage to do it. I'm probably going to be more embarrassed than anything else to talk about that. But it is something that you watching me, listening to me today, you don't have to waste nearly as much time as I have over my lifetime, over my career. We're going to get into that. And one of the ways to truly get to a place of really, one of the ways to get to a place of benefiting from clarity is to create it in your life, is to focus on one goal at a time. And let me kind of make mention when I talk about goals. Let me make mention of something here. When we talk about goals, I need to kind of help you retool a little bit about how you approach goals, because I know most of us approach goals with this very structured, smart way of approaching goals, right? And you want to make sure that your goals are more so task related as opposed to best guess or arbitrary milestones. For instance, instead of saying, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next 30 days, that would be a goal. That's my goal. I'm going to lose 20 pounds in the next 30 days. Instead of saying that, you should change your goals to be task-oriented or action-oriented goals. Because, well, before I get to the because part, the way you do that is you calculate what getting you to a certain place looks like, how you get there. And then you establish a routine, a goal of activity at specified times. In other words, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 30 days, and you've calculated that the best way to get there is to only consume 1,800 calories a day, and that's the best way to get there, and to run 2 miles a day, that's the best way to get there. Those two actions become your goal. Because what tends to happen when we do very specific milestone goals that aren't attached necessarily to specific actions, it tends to make us miss the mark. And then when we miss it, we get so frustrated with ourselves, or we get, off track because we're like, oh, I didn't reach my goal. And you get a little bit kind of like, beating yourself up and that kind of thing. And not only that, just because you have the goal, if you don't have the activities that are associated with it in place, then you're not going to reach the goal anyway. And oftentimes you get, 7 days in on a 30-day goal and you go, I'm not going to reach this. So when we talk about goals or focusing on one goal at a time, we're talking about focusing on specific activities that get you to a place. Let's say you focus on the activity that I just mentioned, and it's 1,800 calories a day, and it's, 2 miles of running. Let's say you focus on that goal every day. That's the goal every day. You don't have a pound, goal associated with it. Well, what happens if you do that? And you're flowing and you're staying on track as best you can, and you're having some great days and you're having some not so great days with that goal. Let's say you lose the 20 pounds in 38 days instead of 30 days. Are you going to be upset? Are you going to be like, oh man, I missed it by 8 days? I don't think so. You'll still get there. But next time you do it, you may say, instead of doing 1,800 calories a day, I need to be at 1,500. That's going to get me there in 30 days. But the activity is the goal, not the milestone. But focusing on one goal at a time is going to be tremendously important, because when you have 5 and 6 and 7 goals that you're working on at one time, that means you can't focus on any one of them. Your time and effort is divided among 7 things, let's say. And when that happens, guess what? You pretty much don't reach any of the goals. Oftentimes, we have things that we plan to do, want to do, have to do even. And when we have those things, we line them up and we go, okay, I need to do all of these things. So let me do a little bit of number 1 today, a little bit of number 3 today, and a little bit of number 4. And then I'll get around to number 6 and 7 later on in the evening before I turn in to go to bed. That does not work. Those of you that have tried to do that, you know that doesn't work. You know that that's a problem. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know that that's an issue. You can't do it. And as many times as you think you can figure out a way to do it, I know what the problem was. Instead of doing number 1 and number 3 in the morning, I should have done 6 and 7 in the morning. And then 1 and 3 later on at lunchtime. No, that's not going to work either. Nope, not going to work. You have to be able to focus on one thing at a time. Instead of trying to do all 7 at once, let's say all 7 are really important to you. You need to categorize those 7 and decide which one's the most important today. Once you figure out which one is the most important today, or for a period of time, doesn't have to be just today. Let's just say for the next 3 months. The next 3 months, you've got this one thing that you need to do, and this is the most important out of the 7. The other 6 may be important. They may be important to you, but there's one of them that has to be leading the way. One of those things has to be the most important. So you do that one first. Don't have anxiety about the other 6 things. Get that one done first. Let's say it takes you 3 months. Whatever it takes. If it takes you 3 months, then focus all of your attention outside of the things that you must do. Focus all your attention on that one thing. Drive it all the way as hard and as quickly and as with the most focus that you possibly can. Get it to where it needs to be in, say, 90 days or whatever the time frame is. Doesn't matter what the time frame is. The time frame is going to be the time frame, but you should have an idea about what it's going to take you in general. And then you get to number 2, and you do the same thing with number 2. You drive that as hard as you can for the period of time that is needed. And if it's important enough, if you go over time, you continue on even after you get past the time that you've allotted for that. You power through it. You keep going. And then you get to number 3. And you do the same thing. You get to number 4, you do the same thing. And next thing you know, you'll look around and whatever the time frame is, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, 10 years, doesn't matter. Because if they're important, then they need to be priority. If everything's a priority, nothing is a priority. You have to choose a priority. And if you don't choose a priority, your priority will be no priority. And you'll wind up spinning your wheels and doing a whole lot of things that'll waste a ton of time. Take it from somebody that knows. Take it from somebody that knows. I know how that works. I have played that song many times over and over and over. Everything that's a good thing isn't the right thing. Sometimes you accept into your life good things, and you make good things sometimes a priority in your life, but that good thing becomes a hindrance. It becomes a albatross, if you will. It's holding you down. It's slowing you up. I have to be able to focus one thing at a time. That's how you multiply. Simplify to multiply. You simplify those things by going to one thing at a time for clarity. And you work that all the way through to completion. And when you do that, you'll be able to multiply the amount of things that you get done over a period of time than you would have trying to do all of them at the same time. Or doing one for a few days, a few weeks, and then say, okay, well, let me shift to this other thing, but the first thing isn't done. It's the same thing. Have to be able to focus. You have to be able to have some clarity in what you do every single day. That is important. Now, this is, I'm talking about and to some degree, some of you that are entrepreneurially minded at the very least. But this applies to everybody. This applies to you that work a job, have no interest in being in business or being an entrepreneur. This applies to everybody. All of us, if we're trying to accomplish something, this applies. But clarity is powerful as an entrepreneur, as a skilled professional, as a business owner. It's powerful. It's critical. This clarity thing, it's critical. You know, I have had a number of situations in my professional life, in my business life even, that have been problematic for me. When I had my very first successful business in my mid-20s, late 20s, started a business at my mom's kitchen table, grew it to 13 employees, had a 2,000 square foot office space, was doing some business with some of the most influential and largest associations in the country. I was doing pretty good for myself. I was excited about the work I was doing. I was developing relationships. I was doing all these things, right? That business was my baby during my 20s. I grew it from a pup all the way up to a full-grown dog, so to speak, to use that analogy. But what wound up happening was I lost it all because of this very thing that we're talking about. This very thing that we're talking about with clarity, I lost it. I lost that business. Because I couldn't focus on one thing at a time. I tried to introduce another element of my business into the business before I was finished developing the primary and main source of the business revenue. I didn't finish developing that. I wasn't prepared enough to get to the next thing because I wasn't finished with the first thing of getting it to maturity. So I tried to do both at the same time. I had a new business idea within my business. It wasn't a new business. It was a new product within my business. I was trying to start a new product before I was able to get my mainstay products and services locked in. And it cost me the business, basically, because I couldn't focus because of this clarity piece. There were other things involved in that. There were other elements that kind of contributed to the loss of my first successful business. But in hindsight, this was the problem. No clarity in how I needed to approach things. I was young. I was gung-ho. I thought I was, going to be a quadrillionaire by the time I was 30, right? But ultimately, I couldn't get my head around this idea behind clarity that we're talking about today. It's one of the reasons why I lost the business. The main reason why I lost the business in my late 20s. When you have clarity in your business, it can thrive. If you are serving the right community, if you're delivering the right solution, and you're doing it with excellence as the driver, I'm convinced you're unstoppable. I'm convinced. Because at the end of the day, that's what business is. And even those of you that are not entrepreneurs, you work a job or you're a highly skilled professional, this still applies to you. You are selling your services to an organization. They are your client. You perform specific activities and duties to help that organization fulfill its mission. You are entrepreneurially active inside of a business, typically, especially if you're a highly skilled professional. Clarity is important for you too. Extremely important. You know, it is pretty straightforward in my mind of how things need to be done when you are in entrepreneurship. If you could imagine a clear glass, like a glass that you would drink something from. If the glass is empty and it's sitting on a table, you can look, you can see straight through the glass. You can see clearly through the glass. If you take activity that you are trying to accomplish, things that you're doing, if you take the activity and you pour it into a glass, that activity being water, the things that you do every day, the more you pour into that glass, the more you can see clarity through the glass, even though you could see through it before you pour the water in. The more water you pour in, the more activity you pour in, the more clear and the more things you can see. If you notice, you look into a glass when you pour the water in, you can kind of see the water kind of helps with seeing more things than you could when you were just looking through the glass by itself. Try it. It's subtle, but you'll notice it. So what I'm explaining to you today is that you need to take that glass, pour your activity into that one glass, your activity being water. Because if you pour it and it's only a quarter of the way or halfway full, you can still see through it, but there's kind of a line in the middle. You kind of can't see all the way through it correctly, or you're distracted by the line of where the top of the water is in the glass. You have to be able to fill the glass all the way up. So take your activity, take the water of your life, the activity of your life, your time resources, your focus, and pour it into the glass until it's full. Make clarity an important aspect of what you do every day. It'll get to where you want to go much, much quicker. I promise you. Take it from someone that's wasted years of his life without clarity. I promised you a scripture. And here it is, 1 Corinthians 14:40. Let all things be done decently and in order. One thing in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other. Decently and in order. Friends, if you are doing things decently and in order, and you're doing the right thing at the right time, you will be unstoppable in business, in your professional life, in your personal life, even for that matter. If that's in place, you will be undoubtedly unstoppable in what you do. Because clarity doesn't discriminate. If you have clarity and if you have focus, you'll get things done. Even if you're not great at doing things, you'll learn how to get great. You'll learn how to get better at things every day because repetition will cause you to get better. Just keep pressing. Don't give up. Don't sell yourself short. Don't stop 1 inch before the breakthrough. Because when you do, you walk away depressed, dejected, upset, what have you. But if you stay locked in if you do those things that are necessary to keep pressing forward, keep doing the things that you need to do every day, if you keep doing it, I promise you, you're going to turn around one day and go, wow, look where I am. Look where I've gotten to. Look how much I've accomplished. Look at all these things that I've been doing. And for those of you that are Christians, you're going to get to a place where you go, look what God has allowed me to get done. Look where God has allowed me to get to because of clarity. Simplify to multiply. You'll get more done with this way of operating than any other way. I just don't know any other way you could get more done. I've tried it all in my lifetime. I've read all the books. I've tried all the techniques and all that kind of thing. And at the end of the day, it really boils down to this one thing that I'm talking about with clarity. It really does. And I have to keep batting this down in my life all the time when I want to, let me add this other thing to what I'm doing. It creates a lot of issues. I have a heart to serve. And there's always something I want to do to serve people, in more ways and better ways. And I have these ideas and things come in my mind. And sometimes I'm like, I can squeeze this in. That's when I start wasting time. Because I can get both of those things done. Let's say I got two things I want to do. I can get both of them done. I just got to do one first and then do the other one. Instead of trying to do them both at the same time. Friends, I am excited for those of you that have gotten to this point in this talk today, because I know that there are many people that are going to benefit from this video. And if this video has touched you or you've gotten something out of this as valuable, go ahead and press the like button. And if you're excited about it and you want to share this with someone, share this video with someone that you know that needs some help with clarity, not only in business, but also just in their personal life, in their professional life. These principles will help you regardless. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end this talk today. And as I typically would tell you, remember to always leave the place where you stand better than the way you found it. Friends, until next time, we'll see you. God bless you. And I'll see you next time. Take care.